Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a two-handed warrior fighter build guide in Oblivion Remastered. So sometimes the best solution to your problems is a big hammer and bonking it over the head. So this is going to be a very powerful build. Now I do recommend a little bit of magic because magic is so good in this game. Something like the Summon Dremora here can actually help out, or Summon Daedra out there can actually help out quite a bit while we go and attack, because it's going to help tank. If there's multiple enemies that we're fighting against, it can help out with that. Now, with this, we got to literally just get up right close in the enemies and just bonk them over the head. And that's where healing spells come in handy, because we definitely want to be able to keep ourselves alive. So with this, I'll be covering the full build guide, as well as skills, attributes, and ways to play this most optimally. The nice thing about this is anytime creatures come after us, we don't have to worry, because we literally just bonk them like that and take them out. As for the best race, it comes down to personal preference. However, there's some that are better than others, like the Orc. Getting a Berserker Rage, they're just naturally good at armor and heavy armor, and just strong in general, having the highest strength score. And yeah, I would probably say this is one of the best. But Red Guards also are great affinities for weapons, and they're pretty tanky as well with higher endurance. And the Nord, well, resistance to cold isn't that impactful. They're still a decent option here. And the Khajiit too, pretty solid choice if you wanted to go with something like that. I also just want to give a shout out to the Breton, giving 50% magical resistance, extra magicka, which is not super important to this, but that magical resistance makes them very tanky. And the Dark Elf, getting a 75% resistance to fire damage, is also extremely tanky, so that's another good choice too if you'd like something like that. The High Elf does have vulnerabilities, so this is probably the worst race for it. And Wood Elf can be okay if you really want to focus on maybe adding in like a bow attack, but I'd say the best ones would be Redguard, Orc, and Nord. And a shout out to the Breton and Dark Elf, because they're just very good at every class. And for Birthsigns, it made sense to actually go with the Warrior. However, I think there's some that are better than the Warrior. This gives you increased endurance and strength, so you'll get better early game damage and endurance. However, you can get those stats maxed out at the late game. The Lord is another great choice, because with this, it increases your armor rating by 15 and also gives you 50% magical resistance, so you're even tankier with this. Now, there's another one that's actually really interesting here with the Atronach. This gives you increased magicka by 150 points, which is a huge amount of magicka. It gives you a 50% chance of absorbing spells that are cast at you, making you very defensive. And you can also get this up to 100% with different gear, so this might very well be the best Birth Sign. Low-key, pretty good. The Lord, though, getting that extra magic resistance and shield is super useful. The Lady gives additional willpower and endurance, which is okay because willpower is used for running around. The Thief is always a decent idea. Agility is not super useful for us, but luck is going to be nice. Plus 10 points is a lot, because every time you level up, luck takes 4 points to level up of your 12 points, so it's a harder one to level up. The Mage is okay for the plus 50 magic. Never take the Apprentice. The Atronach, though, is probably the true best if you like this playstyle. You can regenerate your magicka, so you'll have to use potions anytime you want to heal yourself. But it's nice because then you can heal yourself with health potions or sorcery potions. So, and also absorb spells. So that's actually really tanky. But the Lord, Atronach, and the Warrior would probably be the three best Birth Signs. Now for the class, there is a Warrior class. There's a Barbarian class. All they do is swap out light or heavy armor and skills. None of these really fit the bill. The Knight, it's okay. The Archer, the Scout, the Rogue, none of them really do as much good as a real specialization and custom class would. So we're going to go for a specialization combat here. And for our attributes, the best ones to go with would be strength and endurance. As we level up, we want to get our strength up as high as possible, because it's going to increase the damage that we deal with longswords, claymores, maces, war axe, battle hammers. We can also not use a two-handed weapon. We use a single-handed weapon and focus on block as well. This will also increase our maximum amount of health and carry capacity. Endurance gives you more maximum health, and you can regenerate health outside of combat a lot quicker. So these two stats are very impactful. The next one we want to be focusing on would be luck is a good stat to having higher. Willpower for regenerating magicka quicker and increase your maximum fatigue, which can be very useful here. If you want to use spells, intelligence, and willpower. Agility is also nice for the fatigue regeneration, and if you want to use bows, you'd also increase your damage. And speed is actually kind of useful here, because moving faster, it's really effective for survivability. But strength and endurance are two most important stats. And then as we're leveling up, max these two out, and then focus on your luck as well. And then you can bring up your willpower, agility, speed. Speed is probably the next top priority. So for those, pretty solid. Now for our skills, I think this is a bit different here, because we're going to be focused mostly on strength-based ones in the combat section. So depends in if you want to use blade or blunt. So it's best to stick to one. I prefer blades personally myself. Having block is also nice, and heavy armor. So these are gonna be the top 3. Athletics and acrobatics, you can actually get these up naturally just by playing the game. You're gonna run, swim, and sprint everywhere, so you'll level that up just naturally. The armor can also be nice, maintain your maximum weapon efficiency and repairing a little bit better. So we're gonna go with the armor, blade, block, heavy armor. You can swap out blade for blunt. And for magic, again, I think a conjuration has a big benefit here because having an extra attack, having an extra person doing damage for you is huge. The conjuration is very overpowered in Oblivion. And the nice thing about this is some of the more tankier ones will actually draw aggro away from other enemies and help you with just having a one-on-one battle while they have a one-on-one battle. So conjuration, very effective. And restoration, we want to be able to heal ourselves. It's important since we're getting in and bashing people over the head often. It's nice to have both of these. Alchemy can also be nice to be able to create potions, especially if you're going to go with the Atronach, because you can regenerate magicka that way. And even in the stealth line, we could go with something like the marksman, as I mentioned. Bows can also have a place on here since we don't have a ranged option. You could also go with sneak. Sneak is very effective in this game, although it doesn't really fit the bill of a rogue or a warrior fighter type class. So you could just go with the marksman, or if you want, you could take destruction, but you will become reliant on having a higher magicka. So alchemy can be a good choice as well. So for the final skill, alchemy, destruction if you really want it, or marksman. I also like the alteration spell list because you can create a shield for yourself, which is really nice. So that's another good line of magic if you didn't want to take like marksman, for example. So we could go alchemy, alteration, or really destruction if you want that magic, but I don't think it fits here. Alteration for the shield is really nice too. So with a warrior, we really want to be focusing on having good getting in and getting out of combat. So we go in, do our attacks, and then we can run back out. I recommend also having a weapon if you can get an enhancement to deal extra damage on it. That's always going to be nice. As you can see that we were able to cut down that ogre with relative ease. Now, it depends on what difficulty you're playing on. Master difficulty, it's going to be a little bit more challenging because they take 0.167 times the damage. So you're going to be bonking them for a long time. So in a combat encounter, we want to summon in. I really like the Daedroth there, as they're very tanky and they also have a ranged attack too. So if we were to get into a fight with someone, for example, here, if we were actually to attack this here, we can resist, get into a fight. And the thing is, playing on expert and mastered, everyone's got a ton of health, so you got to be mindful of that. So as you can see there, the summon that we have is pretty decent at attacking and taking out enemies because it's going to be there to just distract the enemies from us, so we can summon it in again. Since we're not going to be using a whole lot of magicka, this is a nice way to be able to take enemies out because it's going to distract them a little bit. And while we got them, we want to kite them as much. That's why our speed stat's so important. And we could also go with an increased amount of, I guess, an increased amount of ranged options, so the destruction magic can be kind of nice there. And again, as I mentioned, taking marksman is another good choice since being able to attack from range is really effective. So you can see there, our summon was able to take one of them out, and then we can just kite them around while we need to heal ourselves and then get back in. It's going to be good for drawing aggro a bit. I highly recommend using a summon in this game. It's just super useful, especially with the way that this game goes. We have everybody in town coming after us now. So yeah, you do have to kite a bit. Running around and casting your restoration magic to stay alive will keep you in the game. And using a different save file here. Yeah, using a two-handed weapon is a little bit more of a challenge since you attack so slowly. You just have to be mindful of where you're at whenever you're swinging, because you can bob and weave in and out of combat. We have someone assisting us here fighting the guards. But yeah, you constantly want to be summoning in your summon there and then running around to heal yourself as need be. Now, the thing with Oblivion is you can kind of kite people around corners really well in this game, so you can just keep running around spamming your heals, and they're gonna have a hard time with hitting you. So they sometimes bring up their bows like that, but that is a two-handed warrior fighter build in Oblivion Remastered. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments as well. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.